Hello, everybody. Welcome to Matic TV. It is your Monday with Matic roundup of what has gone on the weekend. First of all, I have to apologise, guys. I had that much editing and that much content to put out yesterday on the United Stand. I completely forgot about putting together my own match day vlog. First time I've not done that. First time in ages. First time ever, actually, that I've not actually put the vlog out. But yeah, I had all the footage and everything, and then it's gone. I did all the thumbnail and everything, and then for some reason I forgot. So I thought, you know what? Rather than just throw it right in there, I'm just going to do our full roundup today with everything, and we're going to break it all down about what happened, go through plenty of comments and plenty of stuff that was said after the game yesterday. And today I'm not alone. I am joined by a guest today. Today I'm going to welcome back, first of all, Graeme, who hasn't been on for a while. Graeme has been, he's been living it up. All I see is pictures of him on holiday and visiting different places and venues. Graeme, how we doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Just keeping low key, little holiday here and there, mate. You know how?
Yeah, low key isn't going on holiday every week, mate. I'm afraid.
Nah, I've been just taking a little bit of time out, spending a bit of time with the missus and family, and just taking a bit of a backward seat, mate. Waiting for the winter to come, but always a pleasure to see you as always, mate.
That's it, and you too, mate, and you too. And our man over the pond, he's back again. It's the man himself, Doug. He's taking time out from his busy schedule over there, midday or just after lunch or something like that. I think it is now, Doug.
Yep, canceled a bunch of meetings just to join you.
That's it. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Everyone wants to talk United at the moment. We're not going to discuss Graeme Souness. We might as well. Graeme Souness is a dinosaur in terms of his comments made about Martinez. I mean, does the guy watch any football? I mean, I don't know anyone. What is it with ex-Liverpool players, Jamie and Lisandro Martinez? First it was Carragher, and then when he's been proven wrong, he's tagged his teammate in, and Graeme Souness is coming on him. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, that, wasn't it? I see that pop up earlier. I had a little read of that, and I just thought to myself, what a load of nonsense that is. Like, he clearly isn't watching us play. Like, he's been an absolute fantastic signing since the day he walked in the door. He got absolutely ridiculed before a ball was kicked about his size, and he can't do this and he can't do that. And I think he's got the best stats for aerial duels in the Premier League at the moment for a centre half. So what more do they want? But I think they're just the only thing I can put it to. You've mentioned Carragher there, you've mentioned Souness, and the Liverpool links are coming up. So they must be struggling at the moment because they obviously try to deflect some sort of tactics towards us. So maybe they're in a little bit of a crisis of their own, mate, or maybe they're trying to keep the heat off their mate Gerrard that just got the punt as well, mate. So maybe we'll just we'll dig United. We'll try and drag something up and make a story about something that isn't there. But let them crack on, mate. Anyway, they've got bigger things to worry about at the moment than our little Mexican, our little Argentinian, isn't they? So let them crack on. Don't know where I got Mexican from. Sorry.
Yeah. He was watching the Grand Prix last night, mate. That's all it was. I know what it was.
I mean, I think Martinez's height is all Pogba's fault, though, fellas.
Like,
the reason he's only 5'9", it's Paul Pogba's fault.
It? Yeah, it is Pogba's fault. Everything is Pogba's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't believe it when I was actually live on the United Stands this morning doing the morning show when people were sending comments in the live section about what Graeme Souness was saying. I was just like, what are you talking about? Oh my giddy Ann. I mean, Doug says it itself, really. Last 5 games, 1 goal conceded, and that was the penalty at Chelsea.
Yep.
Martinez has played every single game and has been pretty much tipped or close to man of the match in every single one of them. He can't be watching football because this guy has been immense, mate, over the last few weeks.
Well, to say that he's not a quality ball-playing center back is also insane because his ability to thread the needle and to link up our back with our mids is insane, right? Like, I know people were waxing lyrical about Maguire's performance yesterday, which I know we're going to cover, but you watch Martinez, and again, like, the confidence that he has on and off the ball is everything you hope for in a center back, regardless of his height. And just watching him yesterday go through the gears, there was a moment near the end where I think it was Bone that was going into the corner, and Martinez just hunted him down, tracked him down, went full on for a tackle, blocked it out of bounds. They got a corner, but he showed that much, drive and determination near the end of the game. You could tell he was exhausted because, as we'll talk about, he had to cover a lot of ground for Maguire and others. Not saying that Harry played bad, but the guy does everything. And so for Souness to come out after a match like he had yesterday and say the things that he's saying, it's like Jamie said, they must just be bored or they don't want to talk about Liverpool and the fact that they're ninth and just got beat by 2 relegation side teams. That's fine.
Yeah, that is it. I mean, Jamie, your thoughts on the game yesterday? Well, first of all, generalize the season so far. I've not been on all season, mate. We've just started doing our Monday show now. And everybody do give the video a share, like the video as always. Let's try and build up our audience for the Monday evenings. I know it's different to a Sunday. I keep saying it every week, but let's build our new audience. And we have got some characters already. And I can see the names, and I'm liking the names that are in the comment section because they are full of banter and they do make some good points as well. But yeah, Jamie, season so far, Ten Hag's tenure pretty much summed up quickly. And then yesterday, we had to mix things up a bit. Varane's out now. Maguire comes back in. Another clean sheet still low against what people are saying is a decent West Ham side who always give everybody a good game and are very good defensively on the road this season. How's it gone for you so far? How are you seeing it? What's good? What's bad?
We obviously had a really torrid start and everyone jumped on the bandwagon.
I didn't think it was that bad, mate. I didn't think it was that bad, really. Honestly, I wasn't too displeased sat in with the Brentford fans getting smashed.
I seen that and I thought, bless him, man. He's getting pelters down there. But what can I say? You're everywhere, mate. Everywhere on my screens at the moment. In with the home fans sometimes. He's on Sky Sports and then he's on MUTV. It's like obviously everyone sort of jumped on the bandwagon. Was doom and gloom, but gradually over the that Liverpool game was the one for me. That was we weren't in a very good place. There was a lot of negativity around the team, the Ronaldo issues, which seem to constantly be an issue at the moment. That Liverpool game really sort of proved to me that the group of players have something about them, and that was when I was like, do you know what? Like the players that have come in, like Martinez, who have mentioned, Malacia played that game, was fantastic, and I've seen a little bit of fire in them in that game. And then from then we've just got better and better, and we look like a more settled team. And for the first time in a long time, I mean, I know I've been up to Old Trafford and watched games with you and Alfie, and we've sat there and the football's been dire, but it's gradually like you can see what's building, and all the signings have kind of come in and done well, which is good because United haven't been great in the market in previous managements. Ten Hag obviously was really involved this time with the recruitment, and he seems to have got it right. The Eriksen signing was a masterstroke. Missing out on Timber, everybody was gutted, but everyone loves Martinez now. I can't remember a centre-back that come to the club that's had such a big impact straight away. Like, I think the whole fan base just adores him. Malacia settled in well, although he's brought the best out in Luke Shaw, so the bigger question for me was not necessarily who we were bringing in, because he had a proven track record at Ajax of signing good players anyway, and playing a decent style of football. It was like, how can he make the players that we have better? The likes of Rashford, the likes of Luke Shaw. I mean, I've got to take a bit of an L because I sat with you and Saeed, didn't I, last season and says we should get rid of Shaw. And now I'm a little bit like, do you know what? I probably got that one wrong, but maybe it needed a quality addition to come into the squad to challenge him. So he wasn't comfortable, and we're getting the best out of him now. So gradually, like as games have went on, I've been thinking, do you know what? Like we're clicking. We're actually starting to click. And then that Tottenham game is probably the best game I've seen us play. I can't even remember the last performance. And maybe even sort of Sir Alex days, like I haven't seen a full performance like that where I just thought these cannot get near us, and the football was fantastic. We blew them off the field. And then the question is then, right, we can play well. Can we go up against our difficult team away from home and get a result? And I think we should have beat Chelsea. I mean, you were there. I'm sure you probably agree with me with that one. They got the penalty. I was sitting in a really nice restaurant in Manchester, actually, when they got that penalty, and me and my dad were gutted. And then Casemiro equalised, so we toasted a beer to Casemiro about 5 minutes after the game finished.
I would have hoped you had toasted a few, mate.
Yeah, I was delighted because we were sitting in the restaurant waiting to be seated, and that come through that Chelsea had got a penalty on the phone, and we were like, no. And then obviously we got the equaliser, but that shows us we can go away from home and dominate a decent side, Chelsea. And then yesterday, the other question for me was, can we win ugly when it gets difficult? When we're under the cosh and when we're holding on, have we got that team spirit and that togetherness to get us through them games? Because we would usually drop points in them games like seasons gone by, and yesterday proved to us we rode our luck, and De Gea made some fantastic saves, and defensively we had to defend for our lives at times yesterday, particularly in the last 10 minutes, but we got the result. And for me, every single game that's going past, I'm just starting ticking off boxes and thinking, do you know what, signings are good, we've beat the bigger teams right now. Can we win ugly? Yes, we can. And I'm generally starting to sort of tick more boxes than not. And I'm thinking, you know what, I can see where we're going here. And I quite like the fact that we're a little bit of the underdogs. It's like nobody really expects anything of us. There's better teams in the league that everybody's saying Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, although they're struggling at the moment, are seen as a better team than us. Man City are obviously on a different level, and no one's really noticing us, but we're quietly going about our business. Pretty much the same as Newcastle, they are. Yeah, going under the radar. And I think that's a good thing for us, and it's a good thing for Ten Hag. And I think, just quickly as well, the whole Ronaldo saga, I'm not going to go into it because I'm sure you've talked the ears off at Adam, but I think the way he handled that situation as well was absolutely fantastic. And I know you've put a lot of content on the United Stand about that as well, so you probably don't want to go in too much on it, but I think the way he managed the whole situation and brought him back in for the Sheriff game was fantastic. So yeah, no, superb.
I think you rounded it up nicely there for our few people have seen it, mate. The concerns were there. I spoke to many a journalist, Doug, regarding the start of this season, and the worries were there. Walking out of Brentford, everyone was thinking the same thing, but he has turned it around. So different challenges are coming every single week. We're sort of hurdling the big clubs. We've dealt with them now. Now we've got a different challenge ahead. And I think that's shown yesterday in how David Moyes' ball really affected how we control the game in a way, because people said to me yesterday, Doug, tiredness was a key to that game. But then I thought, West Ham played 3 games in 7 days themselves. Mm-hmm. How are we not finishing this strong in this game? But I was frustrated yesterday. We actually struggled to see the game out again, Doug. And I think De Gea took the limelight when he really didn't have to take the limelight. He said that was my look on it. How did you see it yesterday?
Yeah. I think the first half was good. Rashford obviously played really well. And then, like we were saying, in the second half, we started to fall apart a little bit. And I think it continues to highlight our lack of 2 things. One, depth. And then because of that, Ten Hag isn't really interested in going with a more aggressive, go get the second goal mentality just yet, because he probably doesn't have the right people to do that. And even though Fred had a chance yesterday to put that header in, you could just tell that the confidence in the midfield, once you take Bruno out or push him out to the right like we did, and you take Eriksen off, Donnie still isn't getting a look in. We didn't keep possession. And that last 5 to 10 minutes was extremely nervy, because they just basically camped out in our third and just put in chance after chance after chance, which, to you, like you just said, De Gea had to come in and make, a couple of world-class saves. The Rice hit was heading towards the upper right. That Zuma header was on point as well. Harry getting sort of a block in on Bowen. But again, we couldn't possess. And even there was an outlet ball that I think Bruno had come over to the left-hand side. And I think it was, who was it that was making a run up the left? And Bruno just had to dump one in over the left and just play it down in towards the stick. And he kind of cut back in, and he lost possession again through the center of the midfield. And again, they just brought it in. So just little things like that can relieve some of the pressure and get some possession back for, 2-3 minutes and live in their end. That's where I want to see us really start to take control of the game and see it out, versus having to rely on an already tired back four and David De Gea to bail us out, 2-3 times at the end of the match. So,
I mean, yesterday, Doug, I'll go into you in this one again, because you just brought it up. Bruno Fernandes pushed out to the right-hand side. Should we not just be bringing Bruno off in that instance and putting maybe Sancho or Garnacho, a naturally gifted winger who can probably look after the ball better than Bruno on the wide areas? Because Bruno, as a central midfielder, number 10, whatever you want to call him, would naturally want to just come inside, surely. And we've seen that, like you said there. I mean, maybe a natural winger, and it's not. He's a little criticism of Ten Hag in terms of he just has to make that change and then make the commitment to putting on a player that can play in that position. Maybe a square peg in a square hole, for instance, Doug.
It would have. And the one thing I actually liked about Garnacho's appearance, even though it was against Sheriff, is when you watched, even when he tried to do something, he maybe lost possession, he stayed on top of the man and won the ball back, or at least got in the way so that they couldn't go make a killer pass, which, as we know with Sancho, recently when he loses possession, he kind of gives up and he doesn't do that. And so that's where, in that instance, I wouldn't have put Sancho on, or I wouldn't have thought to put him on. But based off of the performance from Sheriff, I do think if you throw Garnacho on, it gives you another outlet. And two, worst case, he'll track back and give a lot of effort in trying to win the ball back if he loses possession.
Make it hard, yeah.
And I think he earned it. You know what I mean? Like, the Elanga start to me was a little bit interesting because I don't think he's like, I get it, but I also didn't get it. I was like, this is a weird one for me, but let's see how he goes. And, obviously in the first half he got yanked after that because he just wasn't doing a heck of a lot, which maybe isn't 100% his fault, but you want to see at least some influence on the game, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, Jamie, I'm going to come to you next on this one. 3 players, and I said this on the United Stand earlier on. I'm sort of asking the question. 3 players due for a contract extension at the moment. 3 players under the spotlight, but all for good reasons. Dalot, De Gea, and Marcus Rashford, all very influential in their own way in the game yesterday. 3 very good performances. Are you happy extending the contracts for all 3 of these players now? Because I asked this question earlier on, and it sort of brought up a bit of a debate amongst the live chat. Would there be any that you would say they've had their time, thank you, move on? Or are these players that you could see potentially? And obviously, age-wise, they all sort of benefit in that factor, and I've got a contract in them still. Are they good enough for Ten Hag ball, is what I'm saying?
I think based off of the performances this season and defensively, he's becoming a better defender. Relating to Dalot on this one quickly. I would definitely I'd be very surprised hearing Ten Hag talk about his development and his improvements and his general overall game. He looks like a Manchester United right back. His delivery is getting better. He's using the ball better. Defensively, he looks a completely different player. So Ten Hag's done a lot of work with him, clearly, because his defensive work on the back post yesterday was absolutely fantastic defending. I definitely think that we need to be looking at that, because I've seen some rumours that some European clubs are potentially in for him as well, Real Madrid, Barcelona. So just the normal names that players get linked to. I can see us doing that. Marcus Rashford as well is another one that I wasn't 100% sold on last season. I think I said that to you as well. He admitted yesterday on Sky he wasn't at the races last year, which I had a lot of respect for him listening to that interview. I really liked that. I rate that, because some footballers are scared to admit that they didn't do well, and I actually quite liked that yesterday, and I think the fan base would have appreciated that as well, that he actually realised what we were seeing and we weren't just criticising him for the sake of it. Because nobody wants to see a local lad not do well, but at the end of the day, like, you've got to be able to take criticism when you're not playing well. But he's completely turned it on its head. He's playing some fantastic football. That Newcastle header still haunts me, because obviously living up here, that would have been lovely. But then when you see him header yesterday, he looks so much more. Looks so much more clinical in front of goal with his heading ability. His whole game is improving under Ten Hag. You can see there's a player there that we want now. He's obviously playing number 9 sometimes as well, getting goals. So I think the club won't let him go anyway. That's a deal that's going to definitely get done, because commercially, everything he does on and off the pitch, off the pitch, the club love that. It's great for them. It's good publicity. But he has to be doing it on the pitch for the people in the stands to give him credit. And at the moment he is. De Gea, you know what? He was fantastic yesterday, but I wouldn't say like that. I'd be quite happy if he did stay, but I just feel like for Ten Hag to implement his style of play, we probably need a more progressive goalkeeper. I'm seeing we've been linked a lot with Porto's goalkeeper. I watched quite a lot of Portuguese football. He's a cracking goalkeeper, and he's very young as well. He's still raw, but he's got an unbelievable ability. He's very comfortable on the ball. But how much is that going to cost? Are the owners going to want to do it? I think the sensible thing financially for the club would probably be just to renew De Gea, but he would be the only one out of the three that would probably be like, I don't know. And I don't know what the debate is on the United stand around De Gea, Adam. You can let me know. But I think it's sort of a 50-50 in the fan base whether they want a new goalie and sort of maybe move on from De Gea. But when he's playing like that yesterday, I mean, you can't sort of criticize the guy. His distribution is an issue. I think he's improved it since the Brentford game, particularly. He's going longer a little bit more, and I think Ten Hag's allowing him to do that. When the pass is on, make it, but if it's a 50-50 pass, don't do it, just put it long. So he's sort of, his game's evolved under Ten Hag as well. Whether he likes him enough to warrant him longer term, I don't know. He's been at the club for a long year. Do we need a change? I'm not too sure, but I would be interested to know what feedback you've been getting on that one, actually.
Yeah, I'll get into that now, actually. Just a quick one. Knowing if you wasn't here at the start of the show, I did explain. I had a little bit of a memory lapse yesterday. I had all my vlogs set up and then I forgot to download it. I was downloading and editing that much stuff on the United stand because there was some very, very interesting comments and interviews outside Old Trafford yesterday. I'm going to get into that before we finish today as well. And Paul, welcome to the Members Club. I really appreciate it. Anyone who does want to contribute that way, obviously you've got your super chat option and your membership option. That is there. You just have to press join. It's on the main page of the channel next to the subscribe button. If you did want to make a consistent contribution, that is there. And then all the options do pop up for you when you click on that join button as well. Cheers for that, Paul. Much appreciated, mate. But Doug, first of all, on the same three players, mate, anything to add from what Jamie said there? Do you see anything different? I mean, I've seen signs from De Gea this season in big games, tight games. Everton was one where I thought it was excellent. 2 saves, but his best bits were sweeping up behind the defence. He did that again yesterday, helping Maguire out, your mate. And the saves, obviously, I expect De Gea to make them saves. That's normal for me. And I think any goalkeeper in the league would make the same saves, to be honest. And that's no disrespect to De Gea. He's done his job. But the more important thing for me and why I gave him man of the match yesterday was because of that extra bit he's doing coming out the box. Have you seen any difference in De Gea, mate? Or are you, like Jamie, convinced we need that change up? I mean, I can't see De Gea getting more money in his contract. It is ridiculous that he's on double the amount that Alisson and Edison are on. And I think that's where the problem lies. Like what Jamie said, what's the general consensus in the United stands sort of fan base? I would say it's the wages that people are thinking. That it's like, can that not be utilised elsewhere? Is De Gea going to be the goalkeeper that takes us forward? But quick thoughts on the other two as well, mate.
Yeah, I think on the De Gea front, I think it's interesting because I think if he goes anywhere else, minus maybe Real Madrid, and they don't even really need a keeper, right? Like, or PSG, but they have Donnarumma. Like, where's he going to go that'll pay him over 2 even, or 250? You know what I'm trying to say? And I know he's on close to 3, if not over 3 or something like that. It's ungodly what he's on. But if I'm him, I think you can kind of test how much he actually wants to stay by just point blank saying, like, you've got to take a decrease in wages to stay here. We want you here. But if he looks at it realistically, he's not going to get paid as much as we could probably pay him, even with a pay cut, right? Or a cut in wages. And 2, I still think that he's the least of the concerns in terms of who to maybe not keep around, because he's got a much more stable back four, at least the most stable back four when Varane is in that he's ever had, for at least for a long time, right? Between Dalot showing and being the most improved player this season, Malacia or Shaw, both playing well, Shaw in particular, Varane and Martinez in the middle, and now you have Casemiro. So his 5 is probably the strongest it's been for the past 5 years, 6 years. And so if he can develop his game a little bit more like we're talking about, and you're seeing signs of that already, it's great. You know what I mean? And I don't think that we have to solve that problem immediately, provided that he's at least open to some sort of wage restructuring of some sort, right? Because I do agree that if he wants more money, I think that you have to have a hard conversation around, is that really warranted? But I also, knowing De Gea, not knowing him personally a bit, but like listening to him talk and his affinity for the club and stuff, I do think he'd be at least open to a conversation. Now, do I think he's going to take it? Possibly not. It's his choice, but he loves the club. He loves the fans. And again, even if you were to say go down to 250, who else is going to pay him that much to start? Realistically, who is?
Exactly that. Totally agree with that there. I do want to see De Gea, but I do want to see the club take a new stance with these players. It's like you are not as good as you once was. So if you want to stay at the club, then you take a pay cut to stay at the club. And we structure this and set an example. And you could set that example. I mean, to be fair, he has warranted his place in the side for many, many years now. And only now are we looking at this differently because we're seeing a different style of football and we're seeing a bit of structure put into the game and a bit of structure from Ten Hag, which is getting us all a little bit excited. And I don't want to get carried away with this. I do appreciate what David De Gea has done for the club. And if he's willing to improve and get better, yeah, we can see that. But I still can't see the club bringing another goalkeeper in. And let's not forget, we have already got another goalkeeper. We've got 3 other goalkeepers. We've got Dubravka, who I just don't think we're going to play because we don't want to pay the $6 million for certain appearance fees. Tom Heaton, I love the guy to bits. I think he's a great lad. He's a brilliant talker. I wanted to see him as United's number 2 personally. I didn't think we needed another goalkeeper. And then we've got the man himself, Dean Henderson, who he's having a good season. He's getting it hard because he is with a really, really poor team, but he is doing bits there at Nottingham Forest and is impressing. But can you see United actually going out and buying a goalkeeper now, knowing that we've got 3 more as well as De Gea? That is a big, big problem that we've got at this club and what we've done in many positions before. But, I mean, Jamie, players in positions, covering certain positions, Ten Hag wants another right back. I was talking this morning about Jeremy Frimpong, who's over at Bayer Leverkusen, a City graduates. Went from Celtic to Bayer Leverkusen and then started hitting it off at Leverkusen. 5 goals already this season. That's a player that I think we could buy in January. In terms of the January compared to the summer, would you buy make weight players in January because the good ones are not available until the summer, just to see United through to the Champions League places possibly, or would you wait it out? How would you balance the transfers now? Would you go all out for the better player in summer, or would you do like we have before and then got stuck with players that are not as good really for the first team, but just because the fan base has been crying out for a signing and we need a bit of cover, we've gone out and bought one in January?
I personally don't think the club will buy in January. I think they overspent because of the pressure of the whole Glazer out campaigns at the start of the season. I think they got panicked from the talk of Sir Jim, that he wanted the club. The fan base were all on, so they flung cash at Casemiro, they flung cash at Antony. We probably overpaid for both players, although the Casemiro deal doesn't look like we overpaid now. I think Antony's done really well as well. But their fees were very, very high, so I honestly don't think they'll do it. But for me, if the money was available and there was a deal there that had long-termness to it, like a Frimpong, can we go out and do that deal? Are Bayer Leverkusen going to let their prized asset right back, who they invested a lot of money in from Celtic? I think they paid 9 million for him, which in comparison to the Scottish club, that's big money. I watched a lot of him at Celtic. He was very raw. He seems a lot more of a fuller player now. But I think it has to be the right signing, like a Gakpo, a Frimpong. If them players are available that Ten Hag has a longer term view with them, like if Ronaldo leaves, can Gakpo then take his place in the squad? If them deals are available, I think the club should look at it. But it has to be with a long-term view. We can't do like a short-term fix because there's a bit of heat on the from the fan base that they want new players. I think Ten Hag wants players. I think he would have probably preferred a couple more in the summer, although we signed a fair few. I feel like if it was up to him, he would maybe bring 1 or 2 in. But because of the fees paid for the last two signings of the summer, I think the club will have the attitude of, look, we'll wait till the summer. We've probably overspent what we had for the whole season combined. They're not very good at getting players off the books either, so they don't make a lot of money from sales, so they can't sort of balance the books that way. So I think Ten Hag will probably have to do with what he's got, which I think we've got more than enough to finish in the top four if we can stay consistent. But me personally, I would like a right back. Luke Shaw's game has improved because we bought a quality replacement to push him, a quality number 2, should we say. I feel like Dalot needs the same as well. I don't know if that Frimpong talk is quite advanced, if the club are talking with them. I'm not too sure on that, but I like the player. I think he would fit in with our style of play. But a Leverkusen going to do it mid-season? Probably not. If we do, we're going to overpay, and I just don't think the club are willing to do that in the moment. I think they'll wait till the summer.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Frimpong is that Leverkusen are out of the Champions League now. I mean, they're battling with Atleti for the Europa League, and there would possibly be an opportunity there for United if they can prize him away. There is usually buyout clauses within German football, so you never know what that is. We are interested in him. Fabrizio Romano has said that. I can definitely say that because he was talking on United Stand today, talking about that. Also, Paul's asked there if there's any news on Hakpo. Yes, United are still very interested in that, and that deal does look like it is doable in January. It really is doable in January. But then I was talking earlier on the show, Doug, and when it comes to forwards, you think Hakpo, he could be a converted winger striker. He's got goals in him. We've seen that. Gets a lot of goals from his position right now. Marcel van der Kraan, Dutch journalist, Dutch expert from the Eredivisie, says he's more of a mold of a Thierry Henry, coming through as a winger, but then converting into that striker that we all seen Thierry Henry turn into, that type, but needs consistent game time, in his opinion, which is a concern. Or for you, Doug, have I said Hakpo? You could look at Jonathan David, players like this, but then all of a sudden you go across to the carnage that is Atleti Madrid, and you see a possibility of grabbing a João Felix. Would you wait until the summer for that quality of player?
Yeah, it's tricky because not to yank it up too much for you guys, but you sometimes there's an over-reliance on going after big name players, which we've seen, right? And our board and our people, especially Woodward, tend to do that. But sometimes it's when you have the right coaching system in place, which I think we're getting to with Ten Hag, and once he can bring in more of his people and continue to build the style in which he wants to play. You look at something like Tom Brady, for example. I know we all hate the Glazers and the Bucks, but Brady was drafted in the 6th round. So if you know anything about the NFL, that's very, very, very late, right? And now he's gone on to have a Hall of Fame career. He's going to go down in history as one of the best quarterbacks ever, but he was developed in Bill Belichick style in New England. So you don't have to be a first-round pick is what I'm saying to become great if you have the right system and setup around to support you. So going back to your João Felix question, it's a big name. He's going to have a huge price tag. Is he worth it? Can he convert that and translate that over to Premier League action? Don't know. And I'm not willing to find out for as much money as it would cost us to do that, because you could go get a Hakpo for what? I think they're quoting 40, something like that.
Yep.
Now, whether or not you can get him in January, who knows? But I think we need to start being more intelligent, especially because, to Jamie's point, we know that the Glazers are super, super cheap, and they're not going to really break the bank anymore unless they get some sort of investment like we've been hearing, because there's a lot of other things that are going on within the structure of the club, and actually just Carrington and Old Trafford itself need renovations. There's a lot of money that has to go to a lot of different places. And so for them to bust out another, $2 to $250 next summer, highly unlikely. And so we have to start finding people that are 20, 30-ish million that Ten Hag evaluates and says yes to, right? Because that's the other key thing, is not buying players thinking that they'll work and not talking to, no, there you go. Talking to the manager if he wants them. So that's where I'm hoping that, listen, I don't think any of us really like John Murtaugh all that much. So whatever ends up happening with the director of football, and even him, he could turn it around if he starts engaging with Ten Hag more and just saying, here's a list. Here's some people. Here's our spend. What works? What do you need? Because we still need midfield help. We need a striker. We could do with a right back. There's a lot of areas we have to cover and address. And so going all out for a João Felix or somebody of that ilk who's going to cost 80 to 100 million plus, I really don't think is in the cards anymore. You have to find 3 to 4 guys that are 30 to 40 million, spend 100 to 120, because I think that's unfortunately where we're going to end up with the Glazers.
I mean, you look at it and you go, we get top 4. That's why I said United fighting for second place in the league. Can United finish top 2? No, it doesn't mean challenging for the title. It means pretty much what Crookie on TalkSport said yesterday after the game. 2nd, 3rd and 4th are up for grabs in this division. Manchester United will have Cristiano Ronaldo off the books by the end of the season, which saves this football club $2 million a month in wages, 60 million more for getting in the Champions League. If United went out and bought a 22-year-old Felix, who's got 3 years left on his contract after this season finishes, would that not be investment in youth on a player that's already proven quality and could be longevity? And you would get your money back from that player in terms of his age and what he brings as well. Would that not be something the business side of the Glazers would look at? Or
I would say no, because how often when's the last time we got someone in, and I'm not using Dan James, but when's the last time we brought someone in that we got more money than what we paid for?
Mate, it's been 3 times we've sold a player on for more money than what we bought him for since Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Right. So our track record of being able to do that is low.
Yeah, it's a good point. And what I'm thinking is this is a player that Manchester United should not have to sell on. Their money is in keeping that contract running for as long as possible and gaining trophies rather than looking at the bank books like we have done for many a year, actually committing to a football side of things. And this again brings up the debate about the Glazers, how much they would invest in it. I think João Felix fits a lot of bills, fits the football bill, fits the Glazer bill. The revenues that we would bring in through João Felix being at the club would be up there with some of the Sanchos and Pogbas, in my opinion, for the profile of the player. He conducts himself well off the pitch. I was saying this earlier on. I've been up close and personal with him on tour in Norway when he was speaking to the Spanish press. It's a lot of time. He's, like I said, he just seems like one of them players that he's a rarity. And you know what? I am with you guys. I don't think it will happen. I don't think we would spend that amount of money. But I'm looking at it, I'm going, right, this is the debate again. Is this team good enough now with Ronaldo and Martial, Jamie, and Rashford as our only forward options in the middle to get us in that top 4? What do you think? Considering what you've seen in terms of the other clubs as well, is it good enough, what we've got right now? Do we need to invest, or should we wait and make sure we get the right player when it comes to the summer?
I think the big question is what's going to happen with Ronaldo. Like, is he going to be here after the January window? I honestly don't know. I think from my perspective, I think he will, purely for the fact of it's going to be difficult to get him a move in that window, particularly with the World Cup coming up as well. He definitely wants away. I think probably it would be beneficial for United not to have to deal with what Ronaldo, if we can just have the player, but not the circus that comes with him, fine. But every time he has a bad game, it's in the papers. Every time he does something or he doesn't shake someone's hand at the side of the pitch before the game, and it's all drama. And I think that if Ten Hag could get rid of that, he would. But it has to be the right player. Like, I feel like what Doug said there was a really good comment, that it has to be what Ten Hag wants and it has to fit the system. I really like João Felix. I think he's a fantastic player. I haven't obviously been up and close like you have, Adam, which was interesting seeing you come across as a really good person, good human being. Everybody knows his ability. He's having a bit of an issue at Atletico at the moment with Simeone, which he's had issues with people in the past, so that's not really a shock. But ability-wise, I think he would be a fantastic signing. But it's a lot of money. I think there's deals out there, smart deals to be done as well, like the Ericsson deal, for example. Can we go and do something like that? I see Alien mentioned Trossard earlier in the chat as well, which I was reading down. I think he's a very good player that would suit Ten Hag's style of play. It has to be the right signing.
Would that be another wide man, though, Jamie?
Yeah, potentially. I don't know whether he could sort of play in the more central role. I'm not too sure. I don't watch enough of Brighton to see that.
I understand Trossard's having an amazing season, but
Yeah.
I'm talking number 9s now. I think it has to be a 9 character, someone who can hold the ball up for me. I know Felix isn't quite that player, and that's why I'm sort of keeping it on the burner as like something that could actually happen. That's something that I think, because Felix, I don't think would go to Madrid or anywhere like that with the financial struggles of the Spanish clubs. Where else would he go? Who else in England needs a forward? I just think there's a possibility there with Felix for the Premier League. I really do with his age. But I'm talking Tony, talking Jonathan David, the Mitrovic sort of type of striker, that bustly, solid striker that can actually bring wide players into play by holding it up. Because we haven't got that in Ronaldo or Rashford. Nearly Martial, but we can't rely on Martial's fitness.
Yeah. I really like Patrick Schick as well at Leverkusen.
Schick.
I think he's a quality player. I think Vlahovic, that type of sort of target man, but finisher.
I'm just going to. Doug's got to go in a minute. That's what I bring Doug on that one there, Jim, before he has to shoot off. Sorry, mate.
No. I was just going to say that I think when you look at January, right? Like, one, we were all saying it. Like, what's the appetite from these other clubs to want to sell? We have to see what the outcome of the World Cup is as well. But if you look at, not saying we should 100% model it, but if you look at the way like City does business, they signed Julian Alvarez last year. Now, granted, he didn't come until the summer, but they signed him from River Plate for what, 15, 20 million, something like that? Mm-hmm. Anticipating, who knew if they knew what they were going to do with Holland at that time, but they made an anticipatory buy to say, we need a striker, right? We're going to need an out-and-out striker. Here's a guy who's in the Argentinian league, 15, 20 million. Fine, let's go get him in the January window. And then, obviously we have needs immediate. Like, we wouldn't let somebody just go back and play out the rest of their current club. But something like that, I think, is doable in January, where if we're doing the legwork right now, you can go find someone for 15 to 30. And then if you need to reinvest, let's just say Ronaldo sticks around for the rest of the season and says, I'm done after the season, but I'll see it out, right? Now you have someone that you've already brought in. If you still want to reinvest more money, and let's just say the Glazers dig into their souls and find more money in the summertime, and you still want to go find that big name striker, you still can for, maybe 60 to 70. And now you've spent 100 million on 2 strikers, right? For a combined average of 50 versus going all in on just a João Felix, we'll say, for 100, probably. That's one player who you're banking is going to be able to develop into the striker you need, or you go the opposite route. But Brentford isn't going to let Tony go anytime soon, at least probably not till the summer. And a handful of these other clubs probably aren't going to let their players go until the summer. So that's just where I think we need to be a little smarter in January with what we do, because otherwise we are just going to make another panic buy for the sake of buying anyone. And I don't think that's the right call at all to make, because now you've just blown more money. And yeah, it's not a good call.
All right. Before you go, Doug, and I'm going to get Jamie in on you after this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention a name to you as a striker. I don't want you to laugh. I want you to take it as serious as possible. But Harry Kane.
Like, when?
Like, in the summer, Harry Kane. Would that be the player to make us challenge?
No.
Up that table? Would you go for Harry Kane? I mean,
no.
Let's be honest, we're not going to get stung for this one because he will have 1 year left on his contract. I can't believe Spurs have let this go to this. And there could be a cut price deal on this because he's got 1 year to go. Would you go back in at 29 for that type of player? And guys, in the comments, let me know as well. This should be funny.
I think, all right. I think it...
Would that man not work perfectly in a Ten Hag system?
Well, I don't. But here's the thing.
Trophies?
I actually don't know because again, you never know what Conte is really expecting from him over at Spurs, right? But if you've watched him over the last handful of seasons, he does a much better job of it. But the thing that annoyed me about Ronaldo yesterday is how deep he was dropping. And then the problem is when he dropped deep and he didn't get the ball, he wouldn't bust a gut to get in position for a cross. He would just sort of like loaf around, and then there was nobody up top really besides, I guess, Bruno, who was pushed up a little bit further, or Rashford, to really occupy the center backs and give it someone to play across into or something. So Harry Kane does something similar now. Again, he does it way better where he'll drop in and try to link up play. But is that really what we want? And I'm not saying he can't be told stay up top. He obviously can. But I think what's it going to cost to bring Harry Kane in, even though he's only got one deal left, because Daniel Levy isn't the easiest person to negotiate with, and we all know that. And two, what does he have? Maybe, he'd probably have a solid 3 years, probably, I guess, right? 3 years of playing at the top flight still, that'd make him 32, roughly guessing.
Would you take Harry Kane for 50 million for 3 years?
I think it depends on what else we do, though. Because if you tell me you're only getting Harry Kane, and that's like a summer thing, you really don't invest in the midfield, I'd say no, because I don't think he's the biggest need, to be honest with you. And we still have Martial.
So if I said to you, Harry Kane, 50 million, we get that right back in, we get that other central midfielder in, would you go with that as a summer?
I'd probably.
Yeah,
I would. Let's be real. He's fantastic. He's clinical in front of the net. And again, he can link a play if he needs to. And I do think if he's a finishing piece to a squad that's building, then yes, that's the kind of Premier League experience and proven player that you want to have. But again, if you don't have those other pieces in place, then he's completely worthless to bring in. And now you've just spent 50 million on someone who's going to get you half the goals he really should.
That's the debate. And Doug, I know you've got to go, mate, but cheers for coming on, mate. Really appreciate your time. Get back to work.
All right, boys. Let's see what happens on Thursday.
Nice to see you, mate.
See you later, buddy. Jamie, to finish us off, Doug had his say on Harry Kane. I think it is realistic. If Spurs don't make top four this season, if United do make top four, I do believe that would be something to look at. It doesn't look like Ten Hag is the sort of ageist sort of manager in terms of judging players. Obviously, we've seen what he's done with the likes of Daley Blind and using him, Haller, using him, and obviously Tadic in midfield. He's not bothered about the age of players as long as they work right in the system. If that price was right, with it only being on his last year of his contract and a deal could be made, what would you do? Would you go for Harry Kane if he was available?
I think you proper put a spanner in the works there, because when Doug was speaking, I'm sitting there thinking, Adam's put a belter out here because it is a sensible deal if the price is right. That's the thing with like the Haaland deal as well. Like that, it's like the icing on the cake for City, isn't it? And I feel like if we can get the other, like you said there, if we can get the right back, if we can get the midfielder in, and we don't neglect other areas of the pitch to do that deal. I think the Glazers would look at it because commercially it would be huge. The England captain coming to Man United, the amount of money they would make off of shirt sales would be huge, which would be obviously they would look at that from a business perspective. Footballing wise, he's a goal scorer. He scores goals for fun. His injury record's a little bit like that worries me a little bit. But for a sensible price, you would do it, wouldn't you? You would do it. Like, I don't think there's many people out there that if someone said to me, right, we're going to do this, this, and this, we'll take care of that. The squad's set, but we're going to go and buy Kane as well. What are you saying? I'd be like, yeah, like as long as we're not neglecting the bigger picture, I think the short-term gain of signing a natural goal scorer, like we are crying out for that type of goal scorer. Like to finish them games off like yesterday, and Ronaldo even had like half chances, and like the chances he got yesterday, if you put Kane there, he probably scores one of them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's not even criticizing Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo is past his best, although it's hard to say that because of who he is. And he does snatch at chances a little bit now, whereas a little bit more calmness and ice cool in front of goal. Like, he probably scores one of them 2 chances yesterday if that's Harry Kane. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like he would fit perfectly in Ten Hag's team. But if it means neglecting other positions, like Doug said, nah, I'm not willing to do that, because there's a bigger picture. Like, we can't just go and buy the cherry for the cake when the cake's not made. So, but it's definitely, it's interesting that you've said that, because I don't know if that's something the club are generally going to look at, but I think it could probably have legs if he doesn't get the new contract. But he's like so important to who Tottenham are, ain't he? Like, he's like that cult figure. Like, you think of Tottenham, you think of Kane, and I just don't know whether they would let him like go. Do you know what I mean? But he wanted to go to City, you know. So if United can finish in the top 2 this year, and then they can go to him next year with 1 year left and say, look, we're willing to put big money bid in for you, and we're going to give you big wages. You're going to be the icing on our cake, the cherry on top of our cake. Are you willing to do it? I think he probably would fancy it. So it's an interesting one, mate.
Could well be. Kane is 29 and he will be 30 at the start of next season. He's 30 in July. So, yeah, it's if you are willing to accept a 50 million sort of bid of a player on the last year of his contract, heading into his 30s, to give you possibly 25, 30 goals a season for 3 years, because that's what I think he's got in him still. And in the Ten Hag system, I think he fits. And trust me, guys, if Kane doesn't sign that new deal by the end of the season, just you wait for them transfer rumors, because Manchester United need a striker. And you know what? If you're getting Harry Kane for 4 years, and you're going to get over 100 goals out of him, which is probably what you are going to get from Kane in a well-oiled Ten Hag ball system, then I think it's definitely an option. And that would only come about, I think, if Spurs didn't make the Champions League. So there's a lot of ifs and buts, but it's one to watch out for, I would say. Adam, clip it up. Adam said it in, what are we in? November tomorrow. Yeah. So, yeah, I said it. Kane to United in the summer if Spurs don't make Champions League. There is a player there that suits United. Down to the ground. Oh, God, he's just perfect for us. But that pretty much wraps up the show, guys. Cheers. Building up the Monday audience again. I think we've had the most we've had for a while on a Monday. We're going to start cracking the 3 figures soon enough, guys. So share the video out. Spread the word. Monday nights are back, and they will be continuing all the way through the season, unless United play Monday Night Football, obviously. Sorry for not putting the vlog out yesterday. That was completely my balls up. I forgot. Downloaded it. I just forgot to upload it. It's ridiculous. It's not good enough. But I will make it up to you with more vlogs to come. Jamie, cheers for coming on. Great to see you back on the show, mate. Just give the people a shout out to your socials where they can see you walking the dog and going on holiday every week.
Yeah, you'll get me on there on Instagram, usually floating about on there, drinking my coffee and walking my dog, as Adam says, or a nice little holiday sometimes. Going to Lapland in a couple of weeks, so if you want to check that one out, you can get me on my Instagram. I just want to fling that one out there just because you mentioned it. But looking forward to that. But you get me on Twitter as well, just at Jamie Mackay 1989 on there if you want to listen to me ramble on about football. But thank you for having me back on, Adam. Good to catch up with you again, mate, after a wee while as well. So thank you very much, mate.
No worries, mate. Nice one. Cheers, everybody, for watching. Our chats was bang on it tonight. New member in Paul as well. Cheers for that, Paul. Do check across onto the main page of the channel if you do want to be a member of Adam Matic TV. Big things are coming, people. Just stay tuned and stay watching on my socials on United Stand. There's a lot going on, trust me, on this. You're about to see a whole different side to what I'm about and everything, especially in a few weeks' time anyway. But yeah, for now, that is it, everybody. Cheers for watching, as always. Like, share, and subscribe to Adam Matic